Despite tremendous increases in housing costs, demand remains so high in the San Diego area that some subdivisions are sold out before they're completed. In other cases, prospective buyers have camped out a day or two to assure themselves a bid when property goes on the market. Some 31,000 residential units were built during a prosperous 1977 for the construction industry, but that still did not meet the pent-up demand. This was the second consecutive good year following the disastrous 1974 and 75 recession period. The dizzying spiral of prices for homes set a record in 1977 when the average cost zoomed up in a period of 6 months, nearly $10,000. At year's end, the average price of a house was in the neighborhood of $68,000 in San Diego County. Norman Hedenberg, president of the Building Contractors Association, thinks that increases will continue, but at a slower pace to about a $75,000 average this year.
Unfortunately, there's very many people in San Diego who cannot now afford a home. We're going to have to learn how to build for these people, utilizing government subsidies where we can, city-owned land where we can, to attack this market. No, the 31,000 homes being built next year will not meet that mark. Over the past 4 or 5 years, we've been what would be called more the moderate price range, homes that the first home buyer could afford. Even last year in Penasquitos, we were selling homes in the high $40,000 to mid $50,000 price range. We have had to abandon that market because of rising lot costs and rising building costs over the past, land costs over the past 15 to 18 months, rising building costs materially over the past 6 or 7 months. And we just cannot build a house that the average first home buyer can afford anymore. So we've had to switch our emphasis and begin building larger houses with perhaps more amenities, houses that function differently, that will attract, where we can attract the move-up market.
It still takes about 2.5 years from the start of planning of a major subdivision to start of construction, compared to only about 6 months in the early 1970s. Some of this is due to environmental and other requirements. San Diego's growth management policies have been blamed by contractors for part of the delay, but some changes in official attitudes have been noted.
I think that they're beginning to realize that the in-migration that we have has to be housed in order to accommodate or to attract new industries. We have to have a viable housing market, a market where people can buy a house of their choice and afford it. So I see a better spirit of cooperation by the city and the other municipalities in the county.
I think that the new city council is going to be much more objective as it relates to growth and understand that we are going to grow and accept that and try and deal with that growth as best possible.
Newly elected City Councilman Larry Sterling has asked city officials to explain why hundreds of acres of vacant city-owned land are not used for housing projects.
San Diego has 750 acres of prime land in the so-called Tier 1 areas, and if they would get on the stick and let that land loose, it would really ease the burden for a while.
Retired realtor G.L. Robbins claims that large parcels of city land, such as this 124-acre brush-covered section of Linda Vista, could be made available for the most urgent local housing need, that of low-income families and senior citizens. This particular area, once used for military purposes, was turned over to the city after World War II and has lain idle for some 30 years. Meanwhile, construction proceeds elsewhere throughout San Diego County as builders anticipate another banner year. For those who could afford homes in the $100,000 price range, there should be plenty of opportunities in 1978. The big problem continues to be providing adequate housing for low and medium income families. Harold Keene reporting for TV8 News.